Hi, my name is Samantha Sanchez, and I'm a mortgage loan officer with Fluent Mortgage.
And my name is Victoria Bonjovi. I'm a real estate broker for the Corcoran Group Real Estate in New York City and also Coastal Life Properties in Melbourne, Florida.
Okay, so Victoria, what are your thoughts on today's market?
Well, as we're hearing so much about the interest rates have gone up dramatically over the past couple of years. But what I'm finding is that there is low inventory. And when properties are priced properly, what tends to happen is we're still seeing properties going for highest and best. And I recently had two experiences, one with my seller and one with a buyer, where the property went over asking price in prime areas. I think that's just the reality of it. When there's lack of inventory, interest is high and buyers are competitive.
So I know you do New York and Florida. So do you want to tell me any stories that are interesting or anything that happened that really pops for you for each?
Well, I love Florida. The weather, the market, just closings happen much faster in Florida. But I think the most interesting that happened recently was that my clients were in a highest and best situation. They needed to find a property pretty quickly. They bid over asking price. I helped them to put together a really solid offer. We waived the appraisal, which I know is risky, but I explained to them all the risks. And the property appraised for over $10,000 over the contract price.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so they were
great.
so happy. They got the property. It appraised for higher. And, they're in their two-family home right now, and they're loving it.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's awesome. And that was in New York, right?
That was in New York, yeah.
Okay. So, Victoria, what do you think is the biggest difference in the Florida market as compared to New York?
Well, in New York, it's an attorney state, which means that attorneys draw up the contract, and the attorney is involved from the time all negotiations have been completed to the point of getting to the closing table. And in Florida, it is not an attorney state. So the real estate agents organize, not just put together the terms like we do in New York, but we write the contract. And then that contract goes to the title company who then prepares for the closing. And what I think is most interesting is even though the mortgage process is the same, and even though the title process is quite similar as well, but it's a much shorter process in Florida as compared to New York. And even though title has to be clean in New York, it is just typically a standard closing is 30 days in Florida. In New York, it's 60 to 90, but it can be shorter if both sides kind of have their ducks in a row and everyone, prepares to close at a certain date. I've definitely have had 30 to 45 day closings, but it is uncommon in New York.
Okay.
Unless it's cash.
Yeah.
I love those cash deals.
Okay. And what are some memorable deals that you've had? What is the most...
Let's see. I have a bunch of them because I love my clients and it's definitely an emotional process from start to finish. But I would say my favorite deal was when my uncle asked me to sell his property. He had already moved to Florida. He gave me his keys and he's like, let me know when the closing is. And I was explaining to him everything I'm going to do and the marketing plan and pricing. He was like, Victoria, I don't care. Just tell me when the closing is. I trust you. And to me, that touched my heart, even though, of course, my clients always trust me. I also broke a record on his house in that area at that time. But yeah, that was really sweet.
Okay, so what sets you apart from listing agents and other buying agents, would you say?
So I think what sets me apart when I'm on the listing side is being in this business for so long, I can definitely, when I see a property, I can definitely kind of anticipate certain things. So I try to do a lot of problem solving prior. I also have a great network of people that I've worked with for so long. So whether it's a stager, a plumber, whatever the property will require, if there's termites or whatever. I try to problem solve prior to the contract, and I try to prepare all things prior to the contract when I'm working on the listing side in order to prepare for a smooth closing, which is really important to me and my clients. And then on the buy side, I think that first or second conversation with my buyers, when I really learn about them and learn about what they're looking for and what's important to them, just listening to them. And I'm also big on time. I definitely value my clients' time. I value my time. So understanding what they're looking for. And even though I update my clients on what's on the market that meets their criteria, if I find something, and again, I've seen so many properties through the years, and I've worked in all different areas. So once I have those conversations with my clients, I feel like, okay, I have a good sense of what they're looking for. So if I see something online or something pops up in my system, or I have a colleague that is listing something off market, or if I come across something, I'll send it to them, and if I'll just try to get them to see it as soon as possible.
And what are some obstacles that you've had in real estate that you were able to overcome?
I mean, every deal is different. Some deals are more difficult than others. And I think that if you have a deal where something comes up right before closing on the title, whether it be an open permit or whether it be just a financing issue, I try to overcome it by having a clear understanding on the solution. And whether I speak to attorneys, or I had a deal recently where the seller, I spoke to her a year before putting the house on the market, and she knew all the steps to get these violations closed, and she did an amazing job. She was like her own expediter, and she saved a bunch of money, and we spoke for a year before putting the house on the market. Like, she knew exactly what she needed to do, and I prepared her, and I put her in touch with an attorney. So yeah, just kind of getting ahead of anything that can delay a closing.
So really understanding the whole story, understanding
exactly
what's going on.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, like, you just want a smooth closing, and you want to work with good professionals and get to the closing table and, go on to the next one.
Get that clear to close.
Yeah, exactly. Our favorite words.
Exactly. What's a piece of advice that you would give a buyer?
Well, I would say, call me. Yeah. I'll help you. Yeah. But work with an agent. It's a process. So work with an agent that you trust. If it's New York, have a good attorney lined up. I have a lot of great attorneys that I work with through the years that I can recommend. I also have a great referral network. So if, not to jump, to another conversation, but if a buyer or seller is looking to sell outside of New York or Florida, I have a lot of great agent contacts that I can put them in touch with. It's sort of like a Victoria outside of these two states that I work in. And I also have teams, so in both states, so I'm supported heavily.
Okay. And the same question, but what are some advices that you give to the sellers, like when they're about to sell, or if they're thinking about selling? Is there anything that like a checklist that you have, or?
So there's definitely a checklist. And the first thing I do when I walk into a home is I ask for a tour. And I always have questions in terms of if I see a bathroom that may need some grouting, or if I see, sometimes you can make small changes to maximize your return on investment. So I definitely make my lists when I'm walking through a property. I also ask them their time frame, if they have any items that are important to them that they're going to take with them that are attached to the property, because that would have to go in the contract. And anything that is a deal breaker. We talk about pricing. I give them a marketing analysis of their property. Preparation is definitely important early on because it sets the tone for the entire sale.
And what do you do to help you get clients? Is there anything special, or?
So most of my business is repeat and referral. A lot of my clients, especially landlords, I've been working with them for years. Yeah, that's most of my business, repeat and referral.
You've been in the industry for about 18 years. So where do you see this market going, and how do you see it compared to other times in this?
So what's
with the real
interesting
estate?
is depending on who I speak with, they have a different opinion on where this market is going. In some cases, investors will say that I'm waiting for the market to crash, or I'm going to make a low ball offer, or, and sometimes they get lucky, but sometimes it doesn't go in that direction. But me personally, I feel like because there is a lack of inventory, I see this market maintaining, and especially in the prime areas. I mean, like I said, recently I had 2 properties that went above asking price, and I'm still getting multiple offers on my listings. But I think I'm feeling very optimistic about this market. Even if rates increase a little bit more, it's going to, in some areas, it will stabilize pricing, but in some areas, there's still going to be competition.
And why do you think a lot of New Yorkers move to the Sunshine State?
I think there are tax benefits. I think that weather plays a role in how people feel in Florida. That is huge. And I love New York more than anything.
Yeah.
However, there's a different energy in Florida in terms of the weather really changes. Like is seasonal depression a scientific thing? Because this good weather just makes you feel so healthy.
Yeah. Makes you happy all the time.
Yeah.
You don't have to go outside shoveling snow.
Yeah, not even that. Just it's very uplifting.
Yeah.
So Samantha, I just want to thank you for inviting me here to have this chat. And I just totally respect you. And I think you're a go-getter. And I know that you're very good at what you do. And keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, Victoria.
Of course.
Well, Victoria, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate you for spending some time with me. I know you have a busy schedule, but I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am a mortgage loan officer, or Victoria, who's a seasoned agent, and we can definitely help you get to that closing table.
Thank you.